What's up, guys? It's Nikki Lachey, and you are listening to Beyond Borders with Rose Gold and Kid Gravity.
The views and opinions of this podcast are solely those of the host, Beyond Borders Media. And trust me, if you hear something you didn't like, go do your research.
If I call my woman right now, she'll say yes. You know what that means, folk? She submitted to me. I'm just fucking with y'all. I'm just playing. Folk, this is an impromptu show, Beyond Borders with Rose Gold and Kid Gravity. Now, Rose Gold ain't here because she's at work. She's earning money. Because essentially, she's an essential worker, and I love her for that. But you know me, approaching an OG, and I like to stay low key, unless I'm talking about black issues, and then I ruffle some feathers that people don't like. But that's how I do it every time I push record. And really quick before we start, as y'all know, tomorrow is our 1-year anniversary of this podcast, so we will be live right here on Kid Gravity Beyond at 8 o'clock. I don't know who's going to show up. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to have an interesting topic for y'all. And I swear to God, if there's enough people there, I'm going to piss somebody off. So today, like I said, impromptu show. I was on a panel Thursday over on the That's Real TV page. And they do good content over there. Great content. So check them out. Subscribe if you can. And we were talking about submission and cooperation and why men do not want alpha women. And my guest today was on that panel as well with the ultimate black man. And it got heated. And it got controversial. And people in the comment section did not like what we were saying. And I even think I saw a woman say that we suck. But that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion when it comes to this subject. So I said I wanted to bring the brother on to talk and maybe get more of his views, because that was a fatal 4-way match. And then it became Ultimate Black Man versus this brother. And I don't like confrontation between black men because it strengthens the black women who don't like us. It strengthens their narrative. So I am on with Long Live C. I don't give out governments unless they want to. So I'm going to let him introduce himself and then we'll get into it.
Yeah. First, let me start by saying congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. That's a lot of commitment for anybody doing anything that they're not forced to do. So, round of applause for that. I don't know if you got a soundboard, but go ahead and clap it up.
We're not that updated yet.
Go ahead and clap it up. But yeah, we could just go by. We could just go by Long Live C for right now. And I didn't feel confronted. I didn't feel confronted. I felt like maybe he heard some things that he didn't like, and he heard some counterpoints that he didn't like. And he resorted to insults at that point in time. At which cases, that's fine to me because I'll just insult you back. But I'm much more interested in a one-on-one, clear dialogue.
I feel you. And I do not like black men yelling at each other, because then we go to guns and then you know what happened. Your bitch is going to fuck somebody else. But today, we're going to talk about that. But first things first. I don't speak for other black men, so hopefully you too, if you do speak again, you can rationally talk, but I'll let Gabe sort that out. I appreciate the brother and I appreciate his platform. He helped get me on and get my voice out to his followers, so I give him respect on that. So, like I said, you two had a little heated exchange. Y'all can figure that out.
It's not of me to hold grudges. So we come together again and talk, then it's all good. If we don't, we don't. I don't hold grudges. That was then. This is now. We were conversing.
Right. This is the barbershop, and we know how heated it gets in the barbershop.
Right.
Unless Obama was in office, then it wasn't that heated, but we're not going to go there today. I have my reservations about that man. Well, I talk about enough of him on the show. But yes, the show was about alpha women and why we don't like it. Now, I'm of the belief that alpha women, they're necessary, but they shouldn't be as many as there are now. And then I don't know if Chris disagrees with me on that, because he had some very strong points about alpha women. So before we start, how is your view of alpha women?
I mean, my view of alpha women is the same for my view of alpha men. These are people who take initiative, who take charge, who realize that they have the most agency in their life, who believe in themselves, who are confident individuals. I don't too much believe in putting people in boxes. However, I do understand that sometimes people do portray a certain pattern of behavior, and I think that's about as good as it gets. I think we as people are very dynamic, and it's intellectual ignorance to put us in boxes, to put us in predetermined categories.
Yeah, because even when you're on that show, you said that we're not wolves and we shouldn't be labeled alphas and all that. And I wanted to disagree, but there was that whole dust up, so I couldn't get a word in edgewise, so I shut up. But we know in this day and age, especially with human beings, everybody's labeled somehow, positive or negative. I know a lot of people think that it's not worthy of it, but you got to understand that's how society is nowadays.
I agree.
And labels determine how people approach you and how people react to you.
I agree. And I mean, so what I was getting at with that, when UBM was speaking about wolves, what I was getting at more along with that is that since we are humans and we've kind of transcended the quote unquote autonomy way of life, where we don't do everything the same way all the time, like we commonly observe animals in the wild do, I don't think we can be compared to wolves, because we've grown into something much more greater than the common animal. And that's not to say that my life is more precious than the life of a dog or anything like that, but as an intelligent, self-aware creature, we've reached another level in that. Animals haven't written out multiple forms of government. Animals haven't constructed quote unquote militaries and weaponry and stuff like that. Like, yeah, they have like hive hierarchies that you see with like bees and stuff, but they don't quite have anything like theocracy, democracy, things like that. Animals don't have philosophy. They don't have the Socrates and things like that. So I don't think that it's responsible to compare us to animals directly when we're talking about this.
Wouldn't you think lions are kind of like the exception to that, though? Maybe wolves wasn't the best analogy.
As far as alphas?
Yeah, like we know that the male lion is running the pride, correct? And
correct.
Say that one male lion dies, the next one comes over. We know from science that they would kill the kids, the cubs, because he doesn't want to raise those kids. He wants his own line. So I'm not saying that's an alpha trait, but I'm saying maybe lions would have been a better analogy.
I disagree, only because, like I said, it's autonomy to them. It's automatic to them. That is what they do for now, and for now in the foreseeable future, and for the past of things. And there's no lying Socrates. There's no lying philosopher saying like, "Hey, we should do things differently." They
I guess
could
you didn't watch
evolve
Lion King, did you?
Once when I was a kid.
Oh,
I ain't
good. At
get
least you didn't watch the bullshit.
yeah, I ain't get the horrible
Don't watch that
Beyonce.
bullshit
I
remake.
didn't get
Don't
the
do it.
yeah,
You're gonna hate
but
Beyonce more.
but I just feel like as we grow as people, as human beings, we can learn from history, and we can become better and more dynamic over time. I mean, I don't think that anybody should be put in a box and then judged about their ability to be in that box. I think, especially when we're talking about relationships, people should have the roles that suit and fit them. I think when we're talking about alpha male, alpha woman, beta male, beta woman, I think all four of those have the capacity to either be good or bad in those stereotypes.
Mm.
But to me, the whole like alpha male, alpha female, beta female, or beta female thing, all of that, I feel like when we force people to fit into those dynamics, it kind of becomes like public schooling, where we know that school might not be the best for everybody, but everybody is expected to graduate from school. You know what I'm saying?
That's only because of social promotion.
Right. But the alpha male beta female thing is a form of social promotion.
Not really, because the beta female don't.
The idea of it. The idea of it
The
is.
idea, yes, but that doesn't work nowadays because we flip that, because now the beta male is getting more attention than the alpha male. The alpha male now is the negative person. Because we changed the. You know what it is? All of this is about standards, and we change it so much that we don't have an acceptable standard.
I agree.
So the alpha female can do the minimum. Okay, for example, like you see them women on IG and Twitter talking about, oh, I have this, that, and the third. I pay my own bills, and they talk about, yeah, I'm a boss bitch and all that. I look at it and say, you know what? You're an adult. If I ran out there and said that, nobody's going to call me an alpha male. Now, if I build like a pipeline in Africa and get 100 million people water, I'm going to be alpha forever.
I
think
agree.
it's more about what you do than what you say. And we have too many alpha women, especially in our community, that talk too much and their work does not show it, but we still give them that alpha title. And now we're at the point where that standard is changed, where you're doing the minimum and you're expected to call her an alpha male, which we all know what the synonym of that is. It's called queen.
Well, for me, in my perspective of being an alpha or beta, I'm not gonna tell you how to define yourself as a man, and I'm pretty sure you have no intentions of telling me, right?
No.
Okay, so you right now, you have a definition of what a man is, how they conduct themselves, and that's how you model your behavior and your goals and who you aspire to be off of. That ideal man in your head, that's who you want to be for your family. That's who you want to be for yourself. That may be different from mine. And that's fine. When you're alpha, you're living in that idea, you're living in that truth. I can't define that for you because we've lived drastically different lives.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, we both identify as Black men, and that's all the commonality that we have. So maybe my goals as a man don't necessarily align with your goals as a man, but when we become alpha man is when we sit on our goals, when we sit on our convictions, when we don't contradict ourselves, when our convictions don't disappear when they're tested, when we don't only stand on things when it's convenient. For me, alpha man or woman comes into play when you don't feel like you have to front for Instagram, where you don't feel like you have to front for social media, where you don't feel like you are impacted by the conduct the behaviors, the actions, the words of others around you when you are solid and still in spirit within yourself. That's awful for me, because you look at those women, maybe they got like a OnlyFans on Facebook, some of them women who lie, on the internet. I know because I just watched one of my friend do it, and they were like showing me the screenshots. We were sitting down where they were doing it. They were fronting for Twitter. My man paid for all of this. My man paid for that, and it's like, no, they don't, because we know you and we know what you're going through in real life. But you're fronting for Twitter and Instagram. That's not alpha shit. If you out here taking care of business, whether it's your OnlyFans or you sell like your own merchandise or whatever, and you stand on it, that's alpha to me. If you put out a goal in life and you go out and you get it, that's alpha to me. It's not of me to judge what others should do with their life because I haven't lived their life. But how they do it, to me, that's really where being a alpha comes into play for me. And I don't believe that it is impossible or even hard to have an alpha type personality and be in a relationship. I know in the previous podcast that we did last week, some people expressed the points that if they make more money than you or things like that, that opens the door to be disrespected and things like that. And I completely disagree. If a person is disrespectful, they're disrespectful. If a person is disrespectful, if a woman becomes disrespectful after I express that I have feelings for her, that's a crazy person. I'm not going to talk to her anymore. If a woman becomes disrespectful because she makes more money than me, then that's a disrespectful person. I'm not going to talk to her anymore. And that says more about her character than it does me. So when you look at things like relationships, I say especially in relationships, whether workplace, romantic, even family relationships and friendships, those things take practice. It takes practice to learn how your personality fits with other people.
Right. Okay. Well, like I said, I get that, but I think maybe okay. I'll figure it out like this. Okay, so you said your definition of an alpha woman is someone that goes and gets what they need to go get, right? They do what they need to do.
An alpha person, you've defined how you want to live your life. You've defined all of these things about your life, and you're going to make it happen. You don't you when you understand that you have the most agency over your life, you become the most powerful person in your life.
Okay. Cool. Just need some clarification. Okay. So, with the amount of people running around saying that they're alpha, how many of those do you think are really alpha?
If they're running around screaming it at the top of their lungs, not many.
Okay. That's all I'm saying, because a lot of us aren't alpha.
Well, I mean, toot your own horn a little bit, but the loudest person in the room can't fight. You know the routine.
Yeah, the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room.
Yeah. And you shouldn't need to you shouldn't need to feel like you constantly have to validate yourself.
Right, but you know people. Like I said, there we go again with the labels again. People need those labels to feel good.
Right. And I mean, that's fine. It has its practicality, in some forms. But I think it's better for people, and I think people are better when they neglect to label themselves. Like, let's take something we know, like politics or whatever, right? I don't identify as Democrat, Republican, liberal, libertarian. I'm probably closest to libertarian, but I don't identify it.
So you're like me, you're an independent.
Right. So I don't identify with anything because, you know, there's stuff on all four of those that I disagree with. But when you're Donald Trump and you're a Republican and you're pro-life, air quotes by the way for all of these, when you're quote unquote pro-life and then you take a vaccine that was used with stem cells, you come off as a hypocrite. But you cannot identify as anything, and then nobody will look at you and say, "Oh, that person's a hypocrite," or "Oh, that person's
Nah,
this," or "Oh, that
I kind
person's
of
that."
correct you a little bit. He ain't a Republican.
Well,
He's a
yeah,
moderate
yeah.
Democrat
Well,
that
you're
ran
you're
a
right.
Republican ticket.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. But he did identify as pro-life.
Yeah, because he's Protestant. You know, you got to keep
Yeah.
the Catholics happy.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. But you see what I'm saying when you
Yeah.
when you
But and
when
that
you
with the
label
vaccine,
yourself.
yeah, but with the vaccine, he could feign ignorance on that.
Oh, I mean, he will, of course. But um when you give yourself labels,
Mm-hmm.
you appear to people. You have something that they can hit. You have something that they can touch. And I think that's why labels and titles are very popular amongst us as humans, period.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to remember too, animals can't talk
Right.
until they take over, and then they gonna start quoting. You might start fucking quoting around BMX and all that.
Nah. But fucking
Especially
lions
Noah.
running up on me talking about some X are gonna give it to you.
No, that lion might go on his hind legs talking about I'm gonna kill you now.
Right. Like nah.
Because you threw some food at my man over there in the Bronx Zoo in 1994. But we don't forget my nigga.
That'd be a hell of a fucking day. But
Well, the animal's gonna take over in about 30 years. So
it's coming.
Yeah. I know cockroach is coming for my ass.
It's coming. I tell all my friends, like, nature haters. Like we got technology, and if you look at like some of the things that animals do now, you know, not to go off on a tangent, but you know, rattlesnakes won't shake their rattle when humans are around anymore.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that shit like that is crazy to me because you could just be in the middle of wherever the fuck rattlesnakes are, and usually where you would get that warning, you're not getting that warning. Now he just go bite your ass.
Yeah, and you're done. Well, you might be because some are poisonous, some aren't.
Right.
But you're gonna play with your life playing like that. But you brought up the E word. 3 more weeks. Ooh, this is gonna be fun. 21 days. It's gonna be fun.
Hey man, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. I know.
See, that's how.
You know what?
Unfortunately, that's how us as Black people operate, and that's why we get in trouble every time.
No. So I say that
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do everything I feel like I can do. Whether I feel like it will or won't work,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like we as Black people, we aren't in a position to be choosy about how we conduct ourselves in this country. I tell everybody, I tell my friends, I tell my colleagues, I tell my coworkers, if you don't like a system, you must partake in the system while you fight against it. I know a lot of people who are just like for violent revolutionary. I know a lot of people who are just like political revolutionary, and they disdain each other. And it's like, no, you need an all around attack. When you look throughout history, you know, usually violence is the tipping point. However, infiltration takes place. You know,
All to them.
everything takes place. So if you're a revolutionary and you listening, you should vote. And you should collect your guns and train to
Say
fight.
it again. Please say it again.
You should do everything that you feel like is in your power. Because I'm telling you right now, I've known people for over a decade before I was out of high school that said voting was rigged. And while I do not like something about the election system, like the Electoral College, while I do believe that's bullshit, I'm telling you right now, our current president wouldn't be doing everything that he's been trying to do to undermine the election if it was truly rigged. They would not do all the gerrymandering. They would not do all the only putting one ballot per county in Texas. They wouldn't do none of that if it was truly rigged and predetermined. And if you do believe it's truly rigged and predetermined, vote and get your guns ready.
Right. Well, I said, if you want to reform the Electoral College, that's fine. I'm in for a system that each state, they cast their ballots. Whoever on the ticket wins, they get one vote. And you do, since you have 51 territories, well, it's more, but, you know, if it's an odd number of territories, I think it's maybe 53 or something, or 55. First to 28 wins. Whoever has more than 50%, you win. Why the hell is California getting 55 electoral votes? Like me in New York and California account for 84 votes.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it, but like so many things in America, it's a relic of an old time. And when you refuse to rework, change, or update these things, you know, this is what we get. The Electoral College can elect somebody who lost the popular vote. I believe personally we should abolish the Electoral College. And I think that we should have more than two primary candidates, and we should have a system where if an election takes place, and let's say there's 4 candidates up, right? Let's say we have Democrat, Republican, liberal, libertarian, right?
Yeah, I would say more like an independent and a libertarian.
The
Green and Independent Party don't get no love.
I'm just using them as like placeholders for an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we should change the system to say, if you want to win an election, you have to get, let's say, 45% of the votes while amongst those 4 things. And let's say voting goes out and nobody gets the 45%. We hold everything. We remove the least voted for platform from the ballot, and then people re-vote until somebody hits that threshold. So that way we're less likely to be stuck with a lesser of 2 evil situation for the second time in a row. We're less likely to be completely unsatisfied with our options because, you know, if we do it like that and, you know, somebody only gets 17% and everybody else is hired, and it's like, all right, we'll get that guy out of there. We'll bring somebody else new in, and then we'll see what happens. I don't believe that the Electoral College is a fair and honest system because it should not be able to circumvent the popular vote, in my opinion. If the president is supposed to represent the people, nothing should circumvent the popular vote. There's like 5 people that live in Wyoming. I don't care about how they feel, and they have rights, but you know, the president, who is mostly there for foreign affairs, won't even change anything that impacts them directly. That's more for like their local elections. You know, we up until very recently with the last president, Obama, Bush, Clinton, they did very little to no impact on our day-to-day life, you know, but now we have Trump.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We gotta like watch it. Now we got Trump and fucking, you know, we gotta make sure that he's not tweeting about wanting to start World War III at 2 a.m.
You know, so that's what y'all were afraid of, that he was going to push the button.
Right. So, you know, so it's different. You know, and people talk about the things that goes on in their communities and stuff like that. And one of the big problems is, and I'm gonna take black people to task here. I hate doing it, but I'm gonna
listen, brother. I don't know how much of my show you listen to, but I'm gonna do it for you. Vote local.
Go to your city council meetings.
Thank you.
Go see who your sheriff is.
I tell you, these people, black folk don't even know. I asked this on the show. Black folk, who is your district representative? Most of them don't know. It's an easy Google search.
And the thing is, because, and here's an easy example for you to understand. You go to Best Buy, you go buy a TV, you take it home, the TV doesn't work. You don't go home, pack up the TV, return the TV to Best Buy and say, I want to speak to the CEO of Best Buy.
No,
you don't go ask to speak to the president. I want to speak to the manager that's here. So when you don't like shit in your community, go talk to the manager that's there. You have mayors, you have city council members, you have all these things. Go get to know these people, because these are the people who become politicians higher up in the hierarchy. These are the people who potentially become presidents, potentially become attorney generals. Rudy Giuliani became the president's personal fucking lawyer. Those are those people. So look locally for the issue of your solutions way more than you look to the very top. It's very unrealistic to do.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. David Carroll. I'm not sure if you are.
I'm not.
Okay. Well, he has this saying that black people need to be politically re-educated. And I wholeheartedly believe that, because we look at these ballots every 4 years and only care when it's the mayor, the governor, or the president. When it comes up to local leaders, especially black folks, I'm sorry, but we all know this is true. Unless they have a D next to their name, you're not voting for them. I'm still under the notion that if Obama was Republican, he might not have won.
I can believe that. And I mean, I don't think that's just for black people. I think you'll find that with white people too in the Republican Party. Especially
those hardcore Southern Republicans. They would never have touched that side.
Oh, and for sure.
Let's call it what it is. Obama got picked because, I'm sorry, black folk, he was black. And he was
for sure.
He was not. John McCain was a better candidate. We know this. The only reason why he lost because he had that woman with him. If he'd have picked Rand Paul or some other lowly Republican, Obama would have got washed.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know a lot about that election cycle. I think that's
I can explain
2008. Is that 2008?
Yeah.
I was somewhere not paying attention to that shit. I was 18, so.
Well, basically, McCain and Obama were basically in a dead heat up to the election, like the last couple months. And what did McCain in was they made Sarah Palin go outside, and she had to go talk by herself. So,
that was
way away in Alaska. She wasn't too hip on what was going on down here. So she went to that vice presidential debate, got washed. She went out on these campaign tours, and she couldn't even answer basic questions. And what ended up happening was people saw through that and said, you know what? Nah, I can't vote for this. And that hurt McCain a lot. I mean, the race was close, but it wasn't, he didn't have a shot. Because he was originally supposed to have Rand Paul, but I guess they wanted to try to see how it would work for a female candidate in the future.
Yeah, anytime
8 years later, we saw how that worked out.
Anytime you have you just can't put somebody who's detached from reality, somebody who's detached from what's going on into that type of position. And I mean, like, you can kind of say Donald Trump was detached, but Donald Trump had a cult-like following and somehow a reputation for being a very successful businessman. From his base, even though when you look at his history, he's a very failed businessman. New York is working overtime right now to basically make it completely public just how failed of a businessman he is by revealing his taxes. But I mean, if you go back and you look at his history, it should be a surprise to no one that not only is he a failed businessman, but he has a long history of racism. And at the end of the day, I have a mentor. I have a mentor. I have a white mentor. I have multiple mentors, but I have one that's white. And I like to talk to him about things. He identifies as Republican. He's breaking to vote for Biden to get Trump out. And he was like, after talking, he finally figured out, like the difference, as black people, we had to talk, we had to talk with our parents about how to interact with police. We have to talk with our parents about not wearing our hoods in the store and not having our hands in the pocket in the store, right? That, we have all of these talks and these things that we already have to deal with because we're black. We have a rich history. We have a rich negative history in this country specifically for being black. So as black people, one of the first things to come to our minds is that, oh yeah, I'm a black person. White people aren't afforded white people are afforded a luxury that them being white commonly in this country is something that's very far down the line for them. They don't have to remember the fact that they're white when they go apply for jobs. They don't have to remember the fact that they're white when they interact with police. They don't have to remember the fact that they're white when they go into the store. So, my mentor's dad told him, like, hey, when you see a cop, you shake his hand, you give him a thumbs up because he's protecting the community. And my dad, who is a cop, told me never to talk to cops.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that to say, when you have white people looking at Donald Trump as a candidate, I was in culinary school in 2015, in 2016.
All right,
And I had white classmates like, dude, he won't win. He's a racist asshole and stuff like that. But these are white millennials, not, older white people who tend to vote more. And it's like, dude, they don't give a fuck if he's racist. One, because race isn't at the forefront of their mind. And two, because it doesn't impact them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how people like Donald Trump are allowed to be who he is because of the apathy and the lack of empathy for certain issues. People look at the things like him refusing to rent to black people or him ripping off contractors that were Mexican owned or exploiting illegal immigrants to build businesses and then not pay them. People look at that and dismiss it because one, it doesn't directly impact them, and two, they know he'll never do that shit to white people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, it's a snake. And I know that snake is poisonous, but that snake hasn't bitten me, so I really don't care yet. It's an ignorant point of view, but that's how people live their life. And it's short-sighted. It's very short-sighted of us as people as a whole.
Mm. Okay. Hey, everybody has their opinions on that. Man, I'm indifferent. He does some things I like. I like the foreign policy. I like what he did with the economy and for black folks and First Step and all that. I don't like the fact that he talked too much, and I don't like the fact that he lets people rattle him too much, because that's not a good sign as a president that you can let anonymous people rattle you.
Would you describe Donald Trump as an alpha male?
Yes.
I wouldn't.
We think differently. That's the beauty of life.
That is the beauty of life, and that's why I said people, that's part of that right there. That little back and forth right there. That's part of why I say people don't fit in boxes, because the reasons why I don't think he's an alpha male are probably points that are moot to you that you think don't matter. Like, for example, I see how Donald Trump talks about China, right? Mm-hmm. I see how he condemns them about the coronavirus and so many other things. This man will not say a single negative thing about Russia. That, to me, says somebody in Russia has your card, or you legitimately fear them, or you're a traitor. It could be one of those three things. Russia has put bounties on Americans' heads, and instead of the usual like Twitter storm or Twitter storm or shout session that he'll give to China or anybody else. He goes, well, America does it too. You're talking about our primary.
You know why he won't say nothing about Russia? Because Russia could touch him from his house. China gotta go somewhere else to touch him.
And that's why I said he's either a traitor, they have his card, or he's not an alpha male. If I would drop any like conspiracy, let's say he's not a traitor. Let's say he's not a traitor. They either have his card or he's not an alpha male. And the thing is, Donald Trump tweets so much that we can see the differences in how he responds to people. Donald Trump has been very, 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 very disrespectful to women before and during his term of election. But when Ghislaine Maxwell, the right-hand woman for the one super pedophile dude, Jeffrey Epstein, got elected, he was like, "Oh, I wish her well." That says something to me. That says something to me. I always tell people to look for the things, look for the messages that aren't directly said. Look for the words that aren't said. I wish her well. It was like, oh, that's not how you talk. That's not how you commonly talk to women. So why do you wish this woman well? Oh, America does it too. That's not how you commonly talk to our allies or enemies. So why are you talking to Russia like this? It says things to me.
Well, you know what's gonna happen. He start talking reckless to Russia. That motherfucker bombs Chernobyl and the whole world after.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm curious to see what happens when his presidency is up, whether it's up this election term or the next one. I would be very curious to see if he jumps up and runs to Russia.
I make this joke all the time. Yeah, y'all gonna miss that, man.
Oh, you know what? People are definitely gonna miss them. People are definitely gonna miss them because as much as people love to post on Facebook, they don't like drama and they don't do drama. They love drama.
Never listen to somebody say they don't like drama.
Oh, for sure.
Never, because I'm drama free. What did you say 2 weeks ago about your baby daddy? How the nigga wasn't shit. Is that not drama? But you tell people that, and then they ask who hurt you. Let's talk about that, the Black Woman Playbook, and then we'll get up out of here. Alpha woman, that's the foreword. That's how the foreword starts. Alpha woman. I am woman, hear me roar. How do you feel about our women with the shaming tactics? Because I just give it back to them, and then they don't like it. And if you don't say anything, they feel like they punked you.
But isn't that behavior that you would observe from men too?
Yes, and I also said this on somebody's post. I said that because they accused men. Well, this chick accused me of saying that us black men don't build anything, and all we do is gossip and fuss and fight. And I said, well, who raised them?
Oh, and I 100% agree with that. I mean, I feel like if you by chance happen to be one of those people that you don't like all black men or you don't like all black women based off the selective experience of whom you dated, then you are a ignorant person who has chosen intellectual ignorance. There is no reason for me to believe that the small number of women compared to the women in the world that I've had the pleasure of interacting with make up the rule and not the exception for all the women in the world, for all the black women in the world. That's intellectual ignorance. So me personally, if a black woman said those things to me, all men do is argue and destroy, they don't build anything, I would easily just say to her, then you don't know any black men.
Say it again. No, don't say that. Say they know too many beta males.
I mean, that too. That too. If that's how you want to put it, then you
You get
don't.
these weak dudes out here.
Yeah.
They'll do anything for a couch and a sniff. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Then and just like, and it's the same retort because I've had black male friends in my life that was like they won't date black women, and when I ask them why, they usually give me, oh, they cheaters or oh, they disrespectful. But it's like, but other people of other races cheat and disrespect. Like that Puerto Rican girl that you love her attitude problem, you wouldn't love that coming from a black woman. You view it as disrespect. But it's ignorant to me.
Do you think that comes from a place where we've seen it too much and we see it from something else that we're willing to give it a pass?
Examples definitely are important in the world. Examples, idols, things that we can identify with or identify other things with are definitely important in the world. So they do indeed play a part. But however, there's no reason for me to turn on my TV and expect every black woman to act like Meg Thee Stallion, just like there's no reason for me to turn on my TV and expect every black woman to act like Claire Huxtable.
Claire Huxtable did have her ratchet moments, though. Don't do that.
She did, but it was that classy ratchet that I like.
I love black people. We'll take a negative and put it right behind the positive. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling my friend that my favorite thing about black people is my least favorite thing about black people. Black people take shit way too fucking far. You give a nigga a rope, they'll become a cowboy. I swear.
Say it again.
I swear. It is my favorite and least favorite black thing about black people all the time. Because it's like, hey, you know that record? I'm about to go break that shit. But on the same whim, I've seen black people make a bad situation worse. It's like...
I'll give you an example of that. I was talking to this... I wish I had pulled it up, but I was talking to this woman, I think, like a month or two ago. And I said, black folk, one of our main problems is we like taking things, because she was talking about cultural appropriation and things that we put out in society. And I said, yeah, and guess what? Black folk take that and redline it, meaning they take it to the extreme. But then she got mad at me because I said other races will take it and somewhat normalize it, and then it becomes social norm. I.e., like, okay.
Well, see, here's the difference for me, and like this is and for me, right? So like, I remember my dad telling me not to wear my do-rag outside because police officers look for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also remember opening up Facebook or Instagram or something and seeing Kylie Jenner model a new head wrap that was a fucking do-rag. It was a shiny do-rag.
I remember that. That was funny as hell.
So that's cultural appropriation, yes. But I think the problem comes, and it's something that we really can't even do anything about it because it's the natural flow of things. The problem comes is that when white people get hip to something that black people do, and white people already have the lion's share of like media and things like that, when they get hip to it and it blows up like that, they don't know the intricacies that they don't know the things that we've gone through with the do-rag. You know what I'm saying? They don't know what the do-rag means for us. Right. They just see it and they're like, oh, black people rocking this and this is cool, so let me do it. And then the problem is, Kylie Jenner doesn't go back and say, hey, y'all praising me for this do-rag, but y'all don't know that police are using this as some quote unquote marker for black people that may be up for no good, or black people that are thugs or something like that. Nobody goes back and does that due diligence for us. And that's my problem. When you talk about culture vultures, if you're gonna take something from our community and bring it into a new space, give back. Give back. Cause I mean it's the natural progression of things, you know. For example,
I'm surprised Asians ain't come for us for taking soy sauce.
I mean, hey, because you know,
Because they don't care.
yeah.
Because they're gonna make money off of it regardless.
Because you know,
We
I
need to
mean,
start
like,
having that mindset, black folk. If you're gonna create something, make sure you copyright it. So then when they do
right,
take it, you have your paperwork in order.
right. And I mean, let's take something that we all know about. You know, like fried chicken. We got all the stereotypes. Black people love fried chicken. Black people love fried chicken and watermelon. You niggas love that chicken at Popeyes. We got all this shit about it, right? Fried chicken is an Irish thing.
Mm-hmm. And white people consume more fried chicken than us anyway.
Yeah. So it's like,
but again, that's where I said the redlining. Niggas take it too far. Niggas are out there on video talking about, I got these sandwiches, $25 a pop.
But that's part of a larger issue, and we can talk about it on a bigger day.
Yeah.
When it comes to black people and black culture, we are the most scrutinized, and we are we're most scrutinized, the most imitated, and the most magnified in the public eye. You know, and we do it to ourselves sometimes. Look at how serious we take hip hop, for example. Like, you know, biting isn't a bad thing because it's plagiarism. It's bad because it's like, oh, you didn't really live that life. You know, it was a big deal when people found out Rick Ross didn't really live that life. But you know, there's plenty of country singers and stuff, you know, that I guess sang about lives that they weren't living. They were making good music. Everything that we do on this planet is held to a different standard. We are the most stressed people on this planet. Maybe not on this planet, but at least in this country. Because when we do anything, it's always up for criticism more than it's up for praise. Anything, even if white people set us up for it. You know, in my adulthood, I've heard white people bring up affirmative action and how it's unfair for black people. You know, my entire adulthood, but nobody talks about how white women have been the biggest beneficiary of affirmative action. Nobody talks about how when there is a movement for minorities, it's often hijacked by feminism, by white feminists, in a turn that goes either get behind this with us, or we're just gonna we're gonna use your movement and your platform to step on and above you. Nobody talks about those things. You know, it's part of the reason why. We are so aggressive. We are so braggadocious. Because if we don't brag, you will forget that we're great. At some point in time, the NBA was all white. At some point in time,
Jerry West is king.
Yeah, at some point in time, the top 100 players were white. At some point in time, the top 50, the top 25 players were majority white. Go look at it now. At one point in time, a few years ago, people actually was like trying to get another basketball league for white people because they thought it was unfair for blacks. You know, Usain Bolt, fastest man on the earth, just had his record broken by a black woman. Football, you're seeing the last of the great white quarterbacks. You have Russell Wilson, you have Patrick Mahomes.
Well, according to his mama, you shouldn't label him as black. Oh no, he said, "What do you call him? Don't call him Patrick." What'd she say? I forgot what she said. She said,
"Don't call him." Well, I mean, whatever. I guess it depends on if you do the one.
But Dwayne Haskins got benched because he won't be quiet.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on if you do the one drop rule or whatever. But we constantly have to remind people. They love
But
they
wait,
love to teach us about Martin Luther King and George Washington Carver because Martin Luther King had the turn the other cheek philosophy, and George Washington Carver made a whole bunch of dope shit out of peanuts. Shout out to him. But they don't want to teach you about victorious, aggressive black people
yeah,
for
they
a
don't want
reason.
to
It
teach you
doesn't.
about X. They don't want to teach you
Yeah,
about the 10 tenants,
yeah,
the Calvary
because
10th.
you know, they don't want to teach you that the whole food stamps snap thing came from the
The
Black
Black
Panther Party,
Panthers. Yeah.
and they also don't want to teach you that white people use those benefits more than anyone else.
That's more Jews, but we ain't gonna talk about them. Not today.
Do you differentiate between the two?
I kind of do because Jews don't even consider themselves white. They just call themselves Jews. I mean,
I can
on
see that.
optics, they look white, but they're not gonna say I'm Caucasian. They're gonna say I'm Jewish. They lead with that first.
I can see that.
Because thankfully, my father, what he does, I've been around every race since I was 6, so I understood a lot of their cultures, and I've heard a lot of the Jewish. I didn't even know they were Jewish. I just figured they were white people. They were like, "Oh no, I'm Jewish." I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." So pretty soon, if they get their way, Jewish will be another race. Shout out to Nick Cannon. He was right, but he said it at the wrong time.
Yeah, delivery and messenger is important. But he was
I
right.
like my wife.
But
What
he
is with
was
you
right.
black people in delivery?
Well, as someone as like I know you don't know much about me, but I've spent a lot of time working in kitchens and I was in the military.
Brother, I've been cooking for 11 years.
So, I'm pretty sure you don't have some people in your kitchen. Restaurants and food, that's an alpha dominated career field.
You ain't a lot about that, but
That is a
but you can
that
also say it is an alpha dominated society, but a lot of people are betas that try to
well,
play as alphas.
I would say that kitchens have a large concentration of alpha personalities
Yes,
more than any other job. I think we can agree on that.
Maybe construction, but
Okay. I
Yeah.
never did construction, so I don't know. But I know every kitchen I've been in,
mm-hmm,
A types everywhere.
mm-hmm.
Damn, what was I saying? Oh, I say that to say when you look at like the world and the people around us, I think alpha. I really do believe alphas can lead other alphas because I have an A type personality, and I don't have a problem with my boss as long as I view my boss as competent and they have an A type personality. If we agree on the direction and they set out the standards, it's like, cool, bet, I'm here with you. Let's do it. I agree. I've also been a person who's gotten into a lot of trouble in both my kitchen and military career by speaking out against my supervisors and bosses when I felt like they were incompetent or incapable of doing their job.
Mm.
So
Maybe.
I believe everything takes practice. There's no good leadership without good followership, and there's no good leader that isn't a good follower. I 100% believe that.
No, that's a fact. Because you had to watch the person lead.
I feel as though alpha women's ability to function in a relationship isn't directly codependent on them being an alpha. It's codependent on them having the leadership and followership skills. Because if we're both going in the same direction and you're one step ahead, there's no reason why I shouldn't follow you.
Mm-hmm.
And then vice versa. And if you become disrespectful for that, you're a crazy person. If you become detached, if you become unfaithful, you are a crazy person. If we here rocking with each other, and there's no cheating, no nothing, and you the one that come up with all the ideas, or not you, but like whatever women I'm dating, they the one that come up with all the ideas and all the next steps, and I agree with them, then so be it. I don't think that relationships are necessarily like one missile. I think they're kind of like two fighter pilots. Two fighter pilots in formation, getting ready to handle something, because we have the dynamic where we have feminine and masculine energy, and what that becomes a lot of nature versus nurture. I am a very nature person. If I have a family one day, wife and kids, there will be times where my kids need nurture, and I'm going to follow my wife through those times when it comes to interacting with my kids. Let me know what my kid needs. You can have an A-type personality and still be a nurturer. You can have an A-type personality and still be feminine, because it's not about masculine or aggressive energy or anything like that. Alpha is like, hey, I got this. I'm confident that either I'm going to handle it or I'm going to figure it out. Beta type people, to me, are people who, when they lack a leader, they lack direction. I know where I'm going. I know who I am. I know who I feel about myself, no matter if I'm in a relationship or not. I'm currently single, but I have my goals, financial, educational, and I even plan to move soon. And the women that are in my life, I've actually told them, like, hey, look, I'm not looking to date nobody until these goals are met. These goals come first.
Hey.
And I've met women who've done the same thing. But these are functions of, like I said, these are functions of tools and skills that you develop over life, because there's nothing in this world that you can do, to include breathing and eating, that doesn't come with practice. So if you want to be a better partner in relationship, you need to realize that, one, like I said very early in the podcast, you have the most agency over your life. And with that, you are the common denominator. Ladies and gentlemen, in all your relationships, professional, romantic, platonic, family, you are the common denominator. The answer may not necessarily mean that you're a bad person, but it could mean that you choose bad people to be in your life. But I encourage everybody to look within themselves for the answers to their problems. Because at the end of the day, if I get into a relationship with a quote unquote alpha woman and she starts disrespecting me because she discovers that she makes more money, it's up to me to stay or leave. And when you make that decision, when you take your life into your own hands, that's when you become an alpha. You are a beta when you let other people dictate how you feel about yourself, how you live your life. You're an alpha when you realize you have the agency over your life.
Right. And folk, we gonna end it there, because you gotta end it on a high note. So this was fun, something fun. Yes, and for all those wondering, yes, I did culture appropriate that from Scarface, so leave me alone. Assholes.
You doing the hand rub too?
And I did the hand rub. If I had a big old pile of snow right here, I do all that. But this was fun. I appreciate you coming on. So before you leave, please let people know where they can follow you at. And I'm getting out of here because my food is going to be here soon, and I'm trying to get something to eat.
Follow me on Instagram at longlivec. There's currently no Facebook. I deleted it. That's a different conversation for a different day. I'm gonna just leave y'all.
We talked about that here too.
I'm gonna just leave y'all with the tidbit. I'm gonna just leave y'all with the tidbit that people who make and develop social media will not let their kids get on it. So that should be enough. to let you know that these are drug dealers saying they will not sell these drugs to their family. So follow me on Instagram at longlivec. Changes coming soon. I don't currently have a podcast. I'm considering getting one. I have to work out some things personally, but there will definitely be a platform sometime in the future. Congratulations again on your 1 year anniversary.
Thank
I hope
you.
you have me back.
I
And
want
it was
you
a nice
come
conversation.
through tomorrow. We gonna be fun.
Oh, bet.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock right here, and you'll see my co-host. You'll see me. I was considering trolling with my MAGA hat that I bought from Chinatown, but she told me not to do it. Black people off. I'm not MAGA. My friend bought it for me for $5. I dared him to buy it for me. He bought it for me. And my wife's still not happy. It's in the house, but whatever. I just used it to troll.
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it says MAGA. You can remix that to mean anything you want it to mean.
Yeah,
so.
no, black folks, we remix it. We say be a Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Make America Great Again. Reagan used it. Clinton used it. I mean, it's Trump. Trump must be black because, like you said before, everything black people do is amplified and scrutinized. He must be black.
Something I'll leave you with, and I'll leave your listeners with as well. Trump and Colin Kaepernick had the same message.
Yeah.
Those things virtually happened at the same time, with Kaepernick kneeling and Trump running for election. And Kaepernick said, America is not up to the standard that I wanted to be at. And Trump ran on the message of make America great again, which would say America is not at the standard at which it should be. So take that as you will, learn from it, meditate on it. That's all I got.
That'd be a hell of a mixtape. All right, folks. We're going to get out of here. Thank you again. Take care, stay safe, and wear your mask so you can get your supplies. Just don't have it over your nose. I'm out of here.
Peace.